Well, a South Korean warship has now become the latest battleground for trying to combat the coronavirus around the world. It's an example of just how aggressively the Delta variant is now fueling COVID-19 surges. In just a week, infections on board the military vessel have gone from 6 to almost the entire crew. It comes as South Korea continues to fight its worst outbreak at home. While Southeast Asian nations are also struggling to contain the Delta variant, Indonesia is battling an oxygen shortage and now has more daily infections than India and Brazil. Africa has recorded fewer cases than other continents, but there has been a 40% jump in COVID-19 deaths just in the past week. Only around 1% of Africans have been vaccinated. Still, though, the US remains the worst affected country. Now every state is seeing a rise in infections. Still, though, confetti and countdowns marked the start of what's been called Freedom Day as England lifts almost all restrictions. But scientists there warn that there could be more than 100,000 cases a day in just a matter of weeks. Well, we'll speak to Tony Cheng in Bangkok very shortly as Thailand expands its restrictions. But first, let's get more on that outbreak on board that South Korean warship with Rob Mcbride. He's watching this for us in Seoul. Rob, the speed at which this spread, that is surely causing a huge amount of alarm.
It is a very alarming outbreak, given the fact that this did seem to spread through the entire ship's company in the matter of just a few days. It is rather reminiscent of the outbreak that caught the US aircraft carrier way back at the beginning of this pandemic in March of last year that was similarly stricken in the Pacific Ocean. Warships, we know, are incredibly vulnerable, confined spaces, especially below decks, with very little chance for large crews to socially distance. This is a much smaller ship, but it's no less alarming. Out of the crew of some 300, 247 testing positive. This destroyer is part of South Korea's contribution to the anti-piracy task force off the east coast of Africa. It still had another month of its deployment to run, but that has now been prematurely cut short. As questions are being asked here in South Korea about, given the vulnerability, why hadn't the crew been vaccinated? Now, the military have come under a lot of scrutiny. They have said that there were logistical problems in getting vaccines out to this ship. That may be true, but they certainly have much bigger logistical problems now. They have a stricken vessel and a sick crew, and the solution to it is by no means easy. They have sent from South Korea to military aircraft to bring the entire crew back here to South Korea. Those same planes have taken out a replacement crew, a reduced crew of 150 sailors whose job it is now to bring this ill-fated vessel back to South Korean waters.
Rob Mcbride there with all the latest for us from Seoul. Thank you so much, Rob.